Hello everyone, welcome here. Today I am starting the Rom-Commers by Katherine Center, and I decided to make like a whole separate reading vlog for it because this has turned out to be like a rather controversial book in the Christian booktube community. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews for it and I'm just really curious what my thoughts will be, and I do enjoy recording them in a video. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. I am going to be as objective as possible. I'm going to tell you truly what the content is so you can see if you would want to read it, and then I'll let you know if I enjoyed it or not. I did already start it. I'm on chapter 3, I think. Yeah. Chapter 3 already has Katherine Center's signature easy to ingest writing, which is my favorite. And this is like a chunker. Like the pages are quite thick. Look at this beautiful library edition. It's sprayed edges. I've never had a book like this before and I feel special. So yeah. Oh, look at that. End papers too, so cute. Wow. So I'm very excited about this. Of course I'm highly anticipating it. I've really enjoyed Katherine Center's previous books. For the most part, I give her books 4 or 5 stars. So I'm expecting this one to be like that as well, but I also have a bit of my guard up because I've heard such mixed things. And I don't know, I don't have to love every single book from my favorite authors, but I am going to give every single book a chance. So I'm going to read this. I will let you guys know how it's going. So far in the first 3 chapters, there's been 2 like mild swear words. And other than that, we're just setting up the story. I think I'm going to like this main character. And it's a very lighthearted premise. Once again, I feel like her last 2 books, The Bodyguard and Hello Stranger, very lighthearted compared to her previous books, just from what I've read. So this one feels lighthearted as well. You follow this girl who is a screenplay writer, but she is like bottom of the barrel, not super good with getting opportunities, but her manager is trying to get her opportunities, and he gets her an opportunity to work under this really famous screenwriter, and he needs help writing a rom-com, so she's going to help him, and she's moving to LA for this situation. So we'll see. I'm sure it's going to be a romance between them. I did not read what this book was about, just based on what I have read so far. That's what I know. So yeah, I'm very curious. I feel like there's been enough time now since I've seen some reviews that I can be even more objective and really see what I think about it and not be swayed. So yeah, here we go. I will give you check-ins as I read it. Hey guys, update time. So I have been reading the Rom-Commers and I'm quite a ways into it now. I'm on page 200 and here are my thoughts so far. This will be my only check-in and then I'll finish it and explain my thoughts later. But for now, I am not buying the romance, and it's so interesting that it's called the Rom-Commers because yes, this is lighthearted, but the interactions with the characters aren't even cute, in my opinion. Like, I'm just not buying it. And maybe it's because I've read better from Katherine Center. Like, if this was a different author, maybe I would like it better. But even then, I just don't see that the guy likes her. Like, it just isn't showing in his actions and his words. Like, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of hate to love, but now at this point, like, they're working together, they're friends, and I just don't see how there's actually romance here. So that's a letdown. And yeah, I don't know, like, there were some like cute moments, but it wasn't even like really detailed enough for me to like enjoy it. So it's really weird. I am gonna like sit down and finish it now, I think, and then I will come back with my final thoughts. But this is feeling like a 3-star because there's nothing wrong with it, but for what I'm looking for in this kind of book, it's not delivering really much at all. So yeah, I don't have any like issues with it. I've read some reviews and like talked to some friends about some things that they didn't like about it. And I think because it feels like so surface level to me, like I'm not even invested enough to care. So like I don't care about like what's happening. I can't believe it. But yeah, let me finish and then I will check in when I'm done. Hi everyone! So I did finish the Rom-Commers, and I actually am going to turn this video into a review for the Rom-Commers and then also just reviewing all of Katherine Center's books that I've read and do a little bit of a recommendation video in this as well. So if you're interested, you can keep watching. If not, I gave this 3 stars. It's not my favorite by her. It's probably my least favorite actually, so that's interesting. And there's my review. I did put it on Goodreads as well, so I'll talk more about it at the end of the video because I am going to talk about my most favorite of her books to my least favorite, so this one will end us off. So I initially liked Katherine Center's books because they have romance and they do circle around romance, I would say, but there's a lot of deep topics talked about as well, and the characters go through a lot of growth, a lot of like emotional pain, and you see them overcome those issues in the book, and that's what I like so much about it. So they are lighthearted with the romance, but then there's also some depth. So that's why I like her books. She does use language. She has dropped the F word and other language. Some books have more language than others, and then as far as I've read, they've all been closed door or fade to black, so that's also why I really enjoy them. And I just find that her writing is very high quality in my opinion. I enjoy reading it and I'm impressed. So my favorite book by her is Things We Save in a Fire, and surprisingly, because I wouldn't say that the overall story is my favorite, which I'll get to what mine is, but because of the ending, this I probably would say is my ultimate recommendation, which is tricky to say, but truly because of the way this book ended and the character development and just the themes talked about in this book in particular, it just has to be a 5-star all-time favorite. So without going into spoilers, this follows a firefighter station, and you actually follow a woman who is a firefighter, and she gets transferred to this station that basically is anti-woman in firefighting. They think that women can't be firefighters, so they're really like prejudiced against her, and she has to kind of make her way in the group, and she ends up joining this team at the same time as a rookie does, and it is a romance between her and the rookie. And then there's just so much more going on though, like it's talking about women empowerment, but also that it's okay if women can't do the exact same things as men. And then there's a super amazing grace narrative like throughout this book, and at the very end, like grace is just so clearly on display that it like blew me away, and it felt like a Christian message at the end, and that's why I liked it so much. There are innuendos, there's a lot of kind of like, you could call it like dirty talk, I guess, and like a lot of just kind of making fun of women, but in my opinion it felt lighthearted. It didn't raise any alarms for me. There is some language throughout this book, so you know, it's definitely gritty and it's not like purely clean, but if you're okay with overlooking some things, then this truly is so good. The message is so good, and for me, I'm okay with it. I know it wouldn't be for everyone, but if you want to try Katherine Center, I do think that this is a good place to start. And again, just the ending blew me away, so loved it. My next favorite that is a close second is What You Wish For. I loved this book when I read it, and the thing is, it's a little bit more risque again, like all of her books though. Like there's things in it that don't make it perfect, but because of the message and the storytelling, like it's just so good that I can overlook some of the things that I don't like. So there is language in this book. They drop the F word a couple times. This gets closer to the bedroom, but it is still completely fade to black. You don't get details. They just like make out. But it's the overall story and the ending and just the message of this book that again spoke to me so much, because I could deeply relate to this book in particular, because you do follow the education system, you follow teachers, and in this book you follow a teacher at a school and they get a new principal, and it is a romance between her and the principal, but the principal has a lot of baggage and a lot of like unspoken trauma, and the thing about the way that was played out, the background to what happened to this principal, like just all of it, it was like very close to home. It was very relatable. I feel like anyone in the education system could relate to this, almost maybe too closely. Like I would put a trigger warning just around things that could happen in a school that are dangerous and life-threatening. Beware of that. But the way that Katherine Center wrote about it, it was just so well done, in my opinion. I really loved it, and I felt seen in this book. And yeah, I just have to say. And then the romance too, it was so satisfying because you got to see how these characters work together and got to know each other and overcome this trauma that both of them had issues in. But yeah, it's just such a beautiful story in my opinion. So again, I love this one. I would recommend it. Technically, it is a companion sequel to one of her other books, but I didn't know that when I read it, and I didn't even notice, but there is a cameo of a different character in this book that if you read the other book, you would know, but I did read the other book, didn't notice, so whatever, but technically. Okay, so there you go. Next favorite is The Bodyguard. This book is one of her most lighthearted books. A lot of people like this book because it is so lighthearted. There's the least amount of language in here. There's only kissing, and it's just fun because it's like fake dating. The woman's a bodyguard, the guy's a celebrity. And I wish that she wrote more books like this. I feel like this is just her best. Okay, and I feel like this is the most palatable of all of her books if you are not sure about her content. I feel like this is the safest one to go for, so, and highly recommend it too as a great clean option. Next we have Everyone is Beautiful. So this book just surprised me, and it wasn't what I expected, which is I think why I liked it so much. When books can surprise me or just take me off guard in a good way, it makes me like the book more. I rarely read what books are about, so I didn't know that this was about a mom and her kids and mom life, because I don't relate to that at all. And the thing is, the way Katherine Center wrote this character, she was just so relatable. It wasn't cringy, in my opinion. Like, it was actually just kind of entertaining and funny, but still relatable at the same time. So yeah, you follow this woman. She is married. They have 3 little boys, and she is trying to figure out motherhood, feeling kind of stuck, feeling like she's lost herself in motherhood. And you see her trying to find herself again, and the struggles in her marriage, and struggles in being a parent, struggles in making friends when you're older, and just all those things. And I just really enjoyed reading this little kind of slice of life. Loved the ending, loved how it played out. There is some language in here. They do talk about sex because they're a married couple, but it's completely closed door, fade to black. So really enjoyed this one, but I think it's for certain people. I just happen to really like it. So next I'll talk about How to Walk Away. So this book took me by surprise. And I think back when I read it, I was like, man, if I knew what this was about going into it, I wouldn't have read it. Only because the premise doesn't sound like I would like it. And yet I liked it. Like, I still gave it 4 stars. It was still incredibly written, and the character development, the span of emotions was so intense. So I don't know, if you don't want to know what it's about, I completely understand. So like skip a little bit, or maybe I'll put timestamps for when I talk about each book. But basically, you follow this couple. They get engaged actually in a plane because the guy just got his pilot's license, and the girl is terrified of planes. She hates planes. She doesn't want anything to do with them. And yet her fiance just became a pilot. And it opens with them going up into the air. He proposes in the air. She says yes. And he goes to land the plane. Looks like it'll all be fine. But then like some kind of crosswind happens. They crash. And the whole book is about them being in the hospital, and how their relationship is tested in the hospital, how this girl comes to terms with what happened. A lot of grief talked about, there's disability talked about, there is a romance in here, and there are intense emotions. But I was so invested. There's something about Katherine Center's writing, like I got so sucked in and I had to read to the end. But it is very like, I guess, what is it called? Isolated setting. Like you're in the hospital with them almost the whole time. Like you do see the aftermath as well, but majority of the book is them in the hospital. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what this book is. But truly the way Katherine Center wrote this girl going through every emotion and like coming to terms with her new life and like what it's gonna look like when she gets out, like it was so well done. Like I don't know how she captured that, but it was very impressive. So definitely I'm glad that I read it. Definitely a hard one. Like if you're going through anything, like maybe it will bring up those emotions, I don't know, or maybe it'll be cathartic to like read those emotions that you're experiencing as well. I don't know, but still, it was good. I don't remember how much language there was, like that didn't stand out to me, so there probably still was some, but like it didn't stand out. And then it is like, there's no spice in it. There is like a makeout scene, but otherwise it is closed door. So that's really nice. Okay, next is Happiness for Beginners. And this one got like bumped way down the list, which is kind of surprising, but this was the first Katherine Center book that I ever read and I was hooked. And so this is what started my journey with her. This is the book that is technically the first book in the companion sequel to What You Wish For, because you follow the principal is the brother of the main girl in this book. And it was definitely the message of this book that made me love it. The beginning of the book does have a pretty intense makeout scene. It definitely was off-putting. That's what made it not a favorite. But then there was nothing else after that. So it was kind of odd. Like, I don't know why that was necessary, but it's there. So if you just even skip over that makeout scene, it's like near the beginning, then you're good for the rest of the book. But yeah, you follow this girl who is recently divorced. She's trying to figure out her life and she's older. So she's like 30. Whoa. I'm 30, so come on, we're not older. But anyways, she is just trying to find herself. She's trying to rediscover herself. And so her brother convinces her to sign up for this like wilderness survival class. So she does it. And it turns out her brother's best friend also signed up for this class. And her brother's best friend is like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years younger than she is. So she's always just seen him as a kid, but he's always like been really nice to her. And so she is like, I don't know about you coming with me, but whatever, I guess we're doing this at the same time. And it is a romance between them. So it is age gap and she's older, which was kind of like also not my favorite part, but truly like the growth that this girl goes through and the progression of their relationship, like it was just so well done. And I was like so inspired by it. Like I found this book very inspirational, and I also love survival stories and like wilderness stories, so I didn't mind reading about them being in the forest every day. I was very entertained and I loved seeing how this girl grew in herself, and then the whole group of people that she was with were so funny as well. I will say the movie, I'm seeing a lot of people like the movie better than the book, but I like the book way better. Like the movie kind of sucked in my opinion, but I wouldn't recommend the movie, but getting a phone call. Okay. And we're back. Not sure where I left off, but I like this book. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a good place to start with her because I could see how a lot of people would find this boring, but I didn't. So I don't know. Take that for what you will, but still, I think this is a great display of her good writing as well, and the like progression of the romance and like the ending was really great. Okay, next up we have Hello Stranger. So this one, again, loved the writing. It was clean. There was mild language, like not very much that I remember, but the storyline I found not as interesting to me. It is about a woman who gets in an accident and she gets facial blindness, and she happens to be a portrait artist, so she can't draw faces because she just can't recognize features. There's a romance as well, but there's kind of 3 guys, or 2 I guess, 2 guys that she is like talking to. Then she also has a lot of issues with her family. That, like the art, I'm just not interested in art. I don't care about reading about it, so I wasn't interested in like hearing about how she was struggling to paint and draw and stuff. And the romance was definitely fun. There was so many like funny, witty moments, but just what the story was about like didn't interest me that much. I think I still gave it 4 stars because like there was a twist that I didn't see coming, and yeah, so it wasn't exactly for me, but I also know a lot of people like it. So, but yeah, it's definitely one of the more lighthearted books. Like, it's the book that came after The Bodyguard, and it has a similar like font and cover and whatever. So it's way more lighthearted. Like, there is still like family issues, but I would say, like, you know, What You Wish For, Things You Save in a Fire, How to Walk Away, like those go deep into emotions, and this one doesn't as much. So there's that. Okay, and lastly, so she does have other books, but I haven't read them. She's got a couple other self-published. I haven't read The Lost Husband. I watched the movie for it, so I know like the twist and stuff. And my library doesn't have this book. So all the books I read, there we go. Now for the rom-commers. This is definitely my least favorite of hers, because this felt like there was nothing to it. And like, what was the point? So yeah, I'm surprised, but basically this is the most lighthearted book, and it was like so fluffy, it felt like shallow, okay? Because the romance was just not believable to me. Like, you follow this girl who is a screenwriter, and she's like trying to make it, but she is struggling. She's taking care of her dad. She's like the sole caretaker. And then she has an agent who is her ex-boyfriend technically. And he calls her up and is like, I have an opportunity for you to basically co-write with this super famous screenwriter who is trying to write a rom-com but doesn't know how, so he needs help. And her specialty is rom-coms. So he's like, I'll pair you together. You can work together on this rom-com. And so, great, she's gonna do it. But the guy is like so rude and kind of like, just like rude and like not even that cute. It's not like a great character to read from. I feel like he had no redeeming qualities. I didn't see how he liked her. I just feel like the moments between them were forced and not cute. Like, their chemistry was not well written. It didn't feel like they had any. I just did not believe their relationship. So that was all that the book was. The plot was like just slow moving, them interacting, not much going on. Like, yeah. So I was let down for sure. Okay, there was nothing like wrong with it. Like, this is the mildest mild language. Like, there was a little tiny bit, but like not even that much. Only kissing, like 1 or 2 kisses. Okay, so like, if you want clean, here you go. But also, the romance like sucked, so I just wasn't that into it. Yeah, but like, I gave it 3 stars because like there wasn't a reason for me to dislike it other than the lack of romance, and it just wasn't even that funny. Like, there were a couple funny moments, but like they just felt, again, like not even quite enough. So surprised. Too bad too, because this book is so stinking cute, but like I don't have any reason to own it because I would never reread this. I'm not gonna recommend it really much on my channel because there's better Katherine Center out there. Like, if you want to read a book like this, just read The Bodyguard. Like, The Bodyguard is her best lighthearted book, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on Katherine Center. I hope this was helpful to you. So yeah, she's a secular author, but she is one that, like I've said, writes mild language and then is closed door for the most part. So I hope she stays that way. It's too bad that I didn't like the Rom-Commers, but I'm hopeful for next year. We'll see what her new release is about. And I do hope that she goes back to some of the more deeper, you know, writing and emotions. But thank you for watching this, you guys. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on Katherine Center. Like, what's your favorite book by her? Have you ever read her before? Yeah, I know she's not for everyone. It's not like she's super, I would say, like clean, Christian friendly, but if you're open to reading secular books, then I do think she's a good option if you're looking for some romance and like kind of women's fiction-y type books. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.